will.
Hello FPL managers, and welcome to FPL Vendetta, our first video on this channel. And what a perfect way to begin and to review the turbulence that was the 2019-2020 season. But first off, let me send a quick congratulations to Liverpool for finally lifting the Premier League title, and also Arsenal for winning the FA Cup. That will make for an interesting Community Shield. But how was last season, my FPL career? How was it? Well, not very good. Had set myself a target of the top 200k, but didn't make it. Finished in the top 300. Yeah, at some point it was slugging it out in the top 10k, would you believe it? But made some really stupid calls and fell all the way down to 500, fought my way back in. So we would have to apply everything we've learned to the new 2020-2021 season. The season's over, but the new season has begun, and some clubs are off to a flying start. I mean, look at Chelsea. They already have Timo Werner from Leipzig, and Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. The rumors that they would probably have Kai Havertz from Bayern Leverkusen, and other clubs are also in the market. You can see Manchester United trying to get Jadon Sancho. Liverpool have been quiet for some reason. Well, they do have the top team in the league. It's really hard to improve on an almost perfect team, so you can't really blame them. Even Arsenal are fighting it out to get some really good players in. Willian is coming in. Some rumors of Partey possibly that will make them really strong. So that will make for an interesting new season. A lot of attacks are improving. That means that's going to affect our FPL teams. We have to pick wisely who we choose in the front lines. So back to what we do, what I've been doing for quite some time with my FPL teams. I take a lot of risks, to be honest with you. Last season I didn't really do much. The season before that and the season before that one, I took a lot of risks, and could include not picking any Man City players for a season. I actually tried not to pick any Tottenham players at one time. Also, went a whole season without taking any hits. That turned out really good. Finished in the top 500k. Trust me, it's not as easy as it sounds. That's one of the lessons I learned. And I apply that usually intermittently every season to see if there's any improvement. And honestly, there's really been some improvement. I'm getting closer and closer to that top 100k. And hopefully with this season, I'm thinking they really had a lot of ideas of what to do. Finally settled on what I'm calling Midrange Madness. Now, what is this really about? I've really thought about this for a while, and I've decided to pick certain players and avoid certain players, you know, using the price range as a template. We're going to really think about different teams and how much the players cost, and try and place ourselves in let's say a challenging position, and try and see how well we do throughout the season with these restrictions. What it does is it makes us really have to be aware of what we're doing. Each transfer, each decision we make really means something and has to mean something throughout the season, and see how well we finish at the end of it, and then take some lessons that we learn into the next season. So as for the price ranges that I've decided on, I'm thinking for the goalkeepers, if you're thinking about the goalkeepers, premium goalkeepers usually find them in the top 6, the traditional top 6 teams. That's Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, Tottenham. We'll try and avoid those goalkeepers, and that means we're left with mid-range goalkeepers. I would also try and add Leicester City to it to make it a little bit more challenging, and that will leave us with a lot of mid-table teams, a lot of their goalkeepers. I already have an idea of 1 or 2 goalkeepers that will be good enough for the entire season. So that's it for the goalkeepers. We just avoid the top 6 really good goalkeepers, top 6 from top 6 teams. As for defenders, I'm thinking of leaving ourselves with only players ranging below 5.5 million pounds. I think that's good enough. I think that should be good enough for the mid-range defenders. Trent Alexander-Arnold is totally out of the question. So as for midfielders, I'm thinking usually the top range midfielders are above 8 million pounds, so I'm gonna have to restrict myself to anything below that. So any midfielder who would cost 8 million pounds and above would have to be avoided entirely when building teams, when buying players, for this season. And that also means any player during the season who would cost more than 8 million. So even if a player starts lower than 8 million pounds and then accumulates to, let's say, more than 8 million pounds, we would have to avoid such a player. But if we buy such a player and he builds, accumulated its worth to more than 8 million pounds, then as long as we got him for less than that, keep him if we want to. We just cannot buy any midfielder that costs more than that. You get? So as for the strikers, I'm thinking more or less the same thing. Strikers usually go for 8.5 and above, 9 million, 10 million and above. So Firmino, Aguero, Kane, Aubameyang, all that is avoided. So we're left with players from mid-range teams once again, from, let's say, Wolves. I'm guessing Wolves because Jimenez started as 7.5 if I recall correctly, but this coming season he might cost more than that because he's been delivering for a couple of seasons now, so I don't expect him to remain cheap. So we're just gonna have to avoid any player who costs 8 million pounds as a striker, and leave ourselves with the mid-range players. So that leaves us with a team completely of mid-range players, and I'm guessing, if I'm to project, I'm guessing we could possibly finish in the top 1 million. Yes, definitely, I guess, but I'm looking at probably a top 700k finish, and I see that as a really good season with strictly mid-range players for the entire season. I'm gonna put up a poll or tweet on our official Twitter account, and you guys can interact and let me know what you think about what we're planning to do for the coming season. Do you think the target or rank target is good enough? Do you think we can finish higher? You let me know. Do you think there are any price range changes that need to be made? I'm open to any. That's it. Don't think there's anything else left. Please subscribe, like, comment, follow us on our Twitters and all that good stuff. Really appreciate that. For our first video, I would also love some comments, some suggestions on what we could do to improve on all that. I think that's good enough. Thank you. See you next week on the next